so this particular time I was in corporate finance. The work that I was doing then, the two key things I remember specifically was being involved in the Kenyan IPO and Safaricom.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I was an analyst at that time on the team. So working to do research and advise clients on whether or not to buy different stocks, being involved in the process of listing the companies, both of them.
Whoa, hold on, you're not...
You know, the reason I did Couples and Money, it was not Couples and Money, it was Love and Money.
Oh, Love
Couples
and
and Money is Pastor Mureithi.
Yeah, sorry, Love and Money.
Wife. So it was Love and Money. And again, the reason I do the stuff that I do is pain points and just challenges I go through. I think I go through stuff and I want other people not to experience the pain I have experienced.
You create solutions.
I create solutions. I create solutions. So when I first got married, well, I've only been married once, but when I got married,
But let me say, sorry to interject there, but I need to say this. Money is the biggest reason for divorce.
It is, apparently.
Not even, I would think it's sex or infidelity.
Right?
No, it's money. So...
Because we come from different families of origin, different ways of seeing money, different ways of interacting with it, different relationships with money. And I remember one day, let me just tell you the story.
So when you first got married?
So let me tell you the story. So one day, I am in the house, I think it was, I'm fast forwarding a little bit. We're probably celebrating 5 years that year into our marriage. And I remember letting out this sign, I'm like, it would be so nice if we could travel to Australia for our wedding anniversary this year. And then I looked at my hubby to see his reaction. He didn't move an inch. I just looked at him. He continued doing whatever it was he was doing. I don't remember that he was reading a paper or he was on his phone. I can't remember. But he didn't make a sound. So I just said, anyway, this is okay. Let me just dream. And that was like maybe a Friday. Monday morning, an email pops into my inbox. Trip to Australia. And it was from Alan. And I'm like, yeah.
Let's do this.
Richie, it was an Excel sheet. Hey, let me just tell you, this Excel sheet had transport, accommodation. Let me just tell you, by the time I looked at the bottom line, I was so annoyed. I'm like, what are you telling me? There's going to be another 10 years before we're able to travel to Australia? Yeah. I was annoyed. But that experience made me realize something. So first of all, anyway, so you can tell the money situation. Yes. My husband is a planner. Very organized. Anybody who knows my husband, let me just tell you, he's the most organized human I know. And I thank God so much for that. He brings order to our lives. Let me just tell you, it has been a painful process for me.
Because what
but
are
it's
you?
Just been that I'm a dreamer. I'm a dreamer. And how I discovered that was just research.
There's money personalities.
And I discovered that through research. Because of just where I was at. I was just like, how does this thing work? And so I discovered a lady called Olivia Mellon, who is a psychologist. I don't know, but she's a psychologist. And in 1984, she launched some research that she had done from her journey counseling couples in their marriages and found, like you said, the biggest issue was finances. And I was like, so I bought her book. And I started to read her book and I realized, oh my goodness, this is why I have these challenges. My relationship with money is a certain way. I remember when growing up, my parents, particularly my mom, would be like, we need to travel or we want to do this. She's like, I just need to work hard and the money will come. And then she works hard, we get the money and we go, right? So it was just, what do we need? Let's work hard, get money, move. So there was nothing that is off the table. Then I come into this situation where, no, we have to plan. Where's the money coming from? We have to figure things out. We have to save. We have to invest. And then
we go.
So it's just a different way of... So the relationship I had with money and the relationship he has with money, very different. But...
Each coming from your backgrounds.
Yeah, each coming from a different background.
Yes.
And so the beauty about the differences in our backgrounds is that it helps us to then bring those strengths from the different backgrounds to help us forge our way forward. And that's the attitude then I had to then adopt, which has taken many years for me to get to that place where I appreciate that. But it has helped me realize that, by the way, there's value in this. I used to resent it so much. But he's also come to the place where he hopefully appreciates that we also need to enjoy it.
Yes.
Yeah. So I've definitely seen him mellow. And I think we have worked out a way forward. It's not perfect, and we're still figuring this thing out. But I feel like we are making some progress in that, you know, it's not such a big pain point where I'll be like, I'm walking out of this marriage. So it's just to give couples out there hope. You know, that, yeah, we're different. The key thing is to empathize with one another, be real about who you are, be real about your weaknesses, and also be real about the admiration you have for your partner and the way that they manage the money. The admiration you have for this partner that's able to spend and feel nothing. The admiration you have for this other partner who, or the opposite person who is a planner and is able to just be so clear about not spending and planning their expenditure. So it's been quite a journey.
You know, it's the conversation between marriage, couples, and what's the word, love and money. I like the way you say that, love and money. There's so much, because you may be the expert in money, but that doesn't mean that you're the expert in money per se in this.
Of course not.
You see, you're the one who worked in the finance industry.
Right? Let me tell you. Did I tell you about this client I had? Student who came, he taught me so much about money. Like, he was able to consistently save. You remember that story? And then all these years later, I'm just like, what do I have to show for what I have done? Similar situation in my marriage. Right? Yes, tell me where to invest. I will show you where to invest. But I realized I would tell people what to do and how to manage their finances, but I'm not doing it myself. So now marriage is where it is the biggest character development process anyone can go through, let me just tell you. Right? So in marriage, there's accountability. You can't just be saying out there on money ways, I don't know what. I have a home I'm going back to that keeps me accountable.
But that's another thing. From a marriage, already from your foundation, you've decided a certain way in which your finances merge together, become our finances. So I say that's cognizant that in today's day and age, there are marriages, but in that marriage is like, your money is your money, my money is my money. I'll do rent, whatever. But there's no this. Maybe your values and your faith. I get to understand the equally yoked, even within the context of finances. Woo, marriage and money. We can talk about this for 50 years, but let's move on. Thank you, though, for sharing that again, because now people can go and have money personality conversations. And have you ever met with couples? Have you ever sat down with couples?
All the time.
For real?
I have.
Rina.
I have. I've worked with many couples. And it's I think the most fulfilling work I have done, forget selling shares and bonds and other kinds of investments that we do. The most fulfilling work I have done, Richie, is sitting with human beings and seeing light bulbs come on and lives transformed.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what this is for you. This is what this is about, eh?
That's what it's about for me. I will retire coaching.
Nice. But with the experience that you've gotten in all of these other things. Fine, you're coaching, but you're also advising on the basis of your expertise.
Except now I'll be in some nice place and my rate card will be on another level. I'll be coaching globally.
Nice. I mean, you do a lot of talks, but let's continue this story. So now, marriage, is it next to progress into... I'd like to know, what were you doing that you can talk about at this time, before your first child? or during the time of your first child? What can you do that you can talk about from the corporate side? From your work side, some, I don't know, examples of the work that you've been doing.
So at that time, I was still kind of early in, so this particular time I was in corporate finance. The work that I was doing then, the two key things I remember specifically was being involved in the Kenyan IPO and Safaricom.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I was an analyst at that time on the team. So working to do research and advise clients on whether or not to buy different stocks, being involved in the process of listing the companies, both of them.
Whoa, hold on. You were involved in the process of listing Safaricom's IPO and Kenyan. Rina, Angalau, just share some nuggets from that. What? When you said you're involved in it, I thought you meant it from the basis of your clients.
No.
Advise them.
Advising the companies, Kenyan and Safaricom.
Wow.
Yeah, we were sponsoring stockbroker for Kenyan, and we were also the part of the transaction advisory team for Safaricom.
What can you share? Well, let's talk about the Safaricom. That was the expectation.
Huge.
It was oversubscribed. I don't know by how much.
Yeah.
What do you do? What does that take at the back end? What does it look like that you can share?
Well, so first of all, it's a lot of background work. So the government basically decided that they wanted to privatize a portion of Safaricom and sell, a portion of its shares.
How much percent?
Gosh, can I remember now?
Okay,
oh my gosh, it's been a while.
Okay.
Was it 35%? I can't remember, but it was a chunk of the shareholding to the public.
And why would the government want to do that at that time?
Well, to raise capital. Privatizations also are a good thing because they help to corporatize a business. And so part of that process,
Is that what Ruto is trying to do now?
Well, I think, first of all, that story is a bit bigger than that. We have not had listings in the country since 2014, which is a very sad state of affairs.
Since 2014? What about Homeboys?
IPO, I mean. IPO.
Oh, yes. But IPO. So what? But Homeboys maybe...
No, Homeboys did come, but what trade has happened on Homeboys? Who has bought any Homeboys shares? Tell me. So what I mean is an initial public offering. We've not had an initial public offering. I shouldn't have said listings. I meant IPO since 2014.
And 2014, the last one being?
Nairobi Stock Exchange. Nairobi Securities Exchange. Now.
Yes, it listed itself. Okay, so the aim of this is to privatize aspects of a business and raise capital. For Safaricom was also...
No, so it was a government-owned business.
They owned percentage and Vodacom. Yes.
And the government made a decision to sell some of its shares to the public so that Kenyans can own a piece of Safaricom.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good move.
So that was good for it to raise capital. I think the company transformed from that time. Corporate governance became much better.
Yeah.
Then from a governance perspective, it was much better run. It attracted a lot of investments from foreign entities, global. In fact, it put Kenya on the global map where our stock exchange is concerned.
Wow.
Yeah. So in fact, one of our advisors, who was the lead transaction advisor, was JP Morgan.
Whoa. This is a big thing. Why are these things taught in school? Anyway, but let's go on. So what was your role in what were you doing behind the scenes? Or what can you, not even per se, what were you doing? What can you share behind the scenes of what it takes to?
So what it takes to list, basically, a company needs to be attractive on many fronts. First of all, it needs to have a business that is viable, a business that makes a profit or on the way to making a profit, a business that is in an industry that is growing, a business that has a service or a product that is not easily replicable. There's no easy or close substitute. And it can continue to do fairly well. It's innovative in the way that it is run. And when you look at it against its competitors, it stands out. And from a governance perspective, the board is solid. There are people who know what they're doing. They have management that are with it. They are hardworking in terms of constantly, they're not going to be disrupted because they're constantly, and you can, when I say that, you can sort of see companies that are like that, If it's in the financial services sector, if it is in the manufacturing sector, they're those that are constantly bringing in new products, new solutions, delivering services and products in a different way, and being very innovative. Those are the kind of companies
you're
that
already
can
on the
list.
upward up or up
Yeah,
and up.
well, even if you're not already there, you're on the way.
Yes, you're on the way. Yes.
You're on the way. And so those kind of companies really do well when they come to the stock exchange. So when you come to the stock exchange now, the process is for us to look at your company and understand the company well. Understand the numbers. Look at the last 5 years. Where have you come from? Where do you want to go? What's your strategy going forward? And then we form a story. We carry out what we call a financial model. And we put your numbers in an Excel sheet. We forecast the future using numbers based on the stories you're telling us.
Yep.
I want to go to Uganda. I want to go to Kisumu. I want to be able to offer this product. And in the next 3 years, we're going to do this and we're going to do the other. And we put numbers to those stories. Project that to the future, discount that to the present, and come up with a value. When we come up with a value, then we discuss and see what do we think would be a good price to list. You know, so it's an art and a science.
I get it.
And so we have to think, okay, what price would people be comfortable paying? What kind of discount should we offer that makes sense for guys? And then come up with a price and go to the market and we sell. So the selling process is a lot.
Yep.
Richie, the selling process is a lot. Because we have to explain, this is what the company does, this is who they are. There's a whole marketing and PR around that helps people understand, by the way, this is a company you need to be paying attention to because this is where they're going, this is who they are, this is what they're going to be doing, and make people excited about that process.
During this time, I'm sorry to interject, but I just have to ask this one. During this time, is the Capital Markets Authority, the CMA, are they overseeing that you're not lying about your story?
Of course.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I have another story about that.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, you just reminded me something else. That's why the Capital Markets Authority
exists. You can do what those guys do. They're like Lamborghini. No. This, that, the other. This, that, the other.
So you can't.
Okay.
Why? Because the process of doing all of this also requires us to submit the documentation, the reports, the analysis that we do, the models that we do to the Capital Markets Authority because they have their internal analysts to check and see, do a sanity check. Is this making sense? Have they oversold? Is this really on the ground?
Okay.
Is this true about these guys? And then they give you an approval. So by the time a company is getting an approval for a product by the Capital Markets Authority, it is solid.
Okay.
Are we together?
Yes.
Yeah.
So do we have, just go on, this
so
is so
let me
good.
just also say something. People have looked at the stock market and are like, this thing doesn't work. Oh, this stock market, oh, these shares. Let me tell you something. A capital markets is one of the very most important things for an economy.
Yep.
Because it is the best way to make sure that money flows to the most efficient, productive parts of an economy. Because money will follow good ideas, money will follow good management, money will follow where it is going to be made more. But when you have an economy that is being driven by a government, it is dangerous. Let me explain that. If the only place that is possible for me to invest is in the government bonds, then it means businesses will not be able to raise capital. Because when they go to the bank will tell them what? But I'll charge you 25%, or I'll charge you 20%. And so guys can't borrow. Because the bank is better off putting the money in the government bonds, and government bills, because the return they'll make is so high that even if they charge that to a company, they're not going to get that same. I mean, the risk is so much higher anyway. So it's so critical for us as a country and the region as well to develop our capital markets. When you look at countries abroad, whether that's the UK, the US, Australia, what has enabled businesses to thrive and to grow is the capital markets. Because the capital markets makes money accessible to businesses.
And is it an independent body?
The capital markets is just it's like an industry. I don't know how to explain it because it has different players. It has banks, it has investment banks, it has stockbrokers, it has investors, and those investors are retailers. They're institutional investors. You know, but it begins with the companies that are looking for capital.
Its success is that it remains credible. Without the credibility of the Capital Markets Authority, everything else crumbles.
Yes, but it's also, it's all together.
Okay, I get it.
Because it's a whole system that works. It begins with companies that are looking for money, and the companies have somewhere to go and pitch their opportunities to.
Yes.
they're pitching through an investment bank that then can help them to pitch their story right and show that story to investors.
And investors
then choose
abroad.
the company, and globally.
Yes.
And investors will then choose the company that they think, that company looks good. I prefer company C to company A.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, Rina, you're spitting gems. I have some, unfortunately, horror stories to wonder why then some companies, people have put into this credible, and I put that in quotes, investment companies. They've put their hard-earned saving there, and they've lost, and they're wondering, where was the CMA in all of this? Where was the regulatory body to protect?
You need to give me an example.
Cyton.
Oh my gosh, I can't go there.
Oh. We'll be back.
This guy took me to court, my guy.
What? Oh, he did, eh?
He sued me.